Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today I'm going to speak about a camera I already reviewed like a year and a half ago, which is a Fufjifilm X100V, but at that time that was not mine, and this is mine for about 3 months now. So I'm going to give you my second opinion after using it. So let's start. When I review a camera, this is not the same thing to have the camera for several days than having your camera for you, okay, and use it like several months. So the opinion sometimes may change, sometimes for better. There are some things, features, maybe I was not convinced and now I feel they're better than I thought, and the other way around, some feature I thought would be good and after you're not convinced, okay. So I'm going to speak about that, and also maybe what Fujifilm could add to the next model to make it perfect, although perfect cameras do not exist, and makers don't want to make perfect cameras, otherwise they will never sell new models after, okay. So let's carry on. So as I made a complete review of this camera, I'm not going to do a review again. I'm going to tell you what I think is better and what I think is worse than what I thought, and get each part or like this, not review everything again, okay. So I'm going to speak about what I think is better than what I remembered. First, film simulation. Well, honestly, at the beginning I thought it was like a gadget, like, well, just that's fun, but that's it. But really now I only use film simulation. I really love them. I work directly in JPEG, don't use any RAW anymore. And I don't specially use the Fujifilm simulation, but actually input recipes that you can find on several sites, but I use the X Fujifilm Weekly, which is great. And I've got several film simulation, and it's really better than what I thought. The results are fantastic, and really it's completely usable, and JPEG are great, give you great JPEG. This camera gives you great JPEG, so even better than what I thought and remembered, okay? Second, something I'm not even sure I said it in the review, but actually, although this lens is a 23mm, which is the equivalent of 35mm in full frame, if you wanted something a bit longer, like 50 or 70mm, you have not a digital zoom, because it's not really a zoom, but a converter. So it actually reframe a bit, and you get the equivalent of 50 or 70mm. When I discovered that, I was not convinced because I would lose on resolution. But still, I think the results are great. So if you from time to time need something a bit longer, you have it here. Obviously, I would not maybe use it full time, because it would mean I don't get the right camera to have the right lens for it. I would probably go for an X-Pro 3 or X-Pro 2, okay, because I could change lens and buy directly the focal length I need. But if you get this one and you're worried that sometimes you want to do a portrait and you want something a bit longer, you have it here, okay. So that's perfect, that's fine, okay. Third, one thing I always criticize Fujifilm about is the wheel here, the speed wheel, okay. What I don't like is because you have full stops, and it means that if I'm 1/25th of a second, for example, and I want to go 1/3 down, 100th of a second, I need to use an extra wheel, which is here, okay. So I thought that was not practical, because when you 2/3 down or 2/3 up, then you have to go back to the wheel here and move it again. So I don't think it's practical. But so many people, what they do, they just go on this wheel, they put T here, and they just use this wheel or the wheel on the back as they want to change the speed, okay. So honestly, I thought it would be a problem. I didn't like it on any Fujifilm that has that, except the XS10 that doesn't have that, okay. But for the kind of picture I make with this is no problem, because normally I make a sari, and if the exposure is fine for the first one, sometimes I have to fine-tune a bit with the second wheel, but that's it. I'm not all the time touching this. But I believe that if I was doing social reportage, like weddings or situation where light is changing a lot and really fast, I would probably end up putting on T and using this wheel, just this wheel, or put on A mode, aperture priority, and let the camera calculate itself. Okay, so for the kind of picture I make, this is not as bad as I remembered. Okay, and last point, which is a lot better than I remembered, is the lens. I know that they changed the optical formula from the X100F to the X100V. It looked better when I tested it, but not as good as I see now. Okay, it's really sharp. Although I'm not really bothered with sharpness, I must say that someone who needs sharpness, it is here. The lens is really a lot better. It's really a great lens at wide aperture. It's already great, no problem. So now let's check the negative points, which are not dramatic, but I think they could be better. Okay, well, the viewfinder here is actually 3 viewfinder in one. It's an optical viewfinder, or digital viewfinder, or hybrid viewfinder. They can actually have both. It's optical with a small square in the corner, which is digital, and you can actually see like where it's focused. Okay, I use like almost 100% of the time the optical viewfinder. I don't use the digital one, not even the hybrid one. Sometimes I've used the digital one, but normally I'm always using the optical viewfinder. And there's a small problem. I know that it's logical that in the optical viewfinder you don't have some like highlight warnings and things like this, okay? But I think there are some things that could be better. One of them is the focusing point. I can decide the size of my focusing point in the camera. I perfectly see it reflected in digital viewfinder and in LCD screen. But when I am in optical viewfinder, the size of the square is not changing. Doesn't matter if I've got the smallest point, possible point, it's still the same size, small square. So which is larger than the smallest point. So I don't like it because normally you select a really small focusing point to be really precise, but then in your viewfinder you still have a larger square. So I don't like that. I think it would be logical that the size of the square could vary also. Second thing, this is not just optical, this is also for optical, digital and LCD screen. You have a histogram. You can check, like switch on the camera, I've got the histogram that it tells me how the exposure is going, okay? But from the second I off press here, the histogram disappears. I don't know why. I understand that maybe it makes the viewfinder a bit busy, okay? So some people would like to have the histogram to disappear, but I think it's a lot better to have the choice. I want it to switch off or not, because sometimes you just reframe, okay? You focus and then you reframe, and you have something that is a bit darker than you thought, a bit clearer than you thought, and then the histogram is not there because you've half pressed, and now you don't see it anymore. So I would like to have the option to have the histogram switched on full time or when I want, okay? That's really logical. I did not find a way to have it full time, okay? Maybe there is an option. I could not find how to configure it, okay? Third point, well, in your viewfinder, and it doesn't matter if it's optical, digital or the LCD screen, you have the information of the film simulation you're using, whether this is the base one or whatever, okay? So it tells you, like I'm using Acros, which is a black and white simulation, but I've got 7 profile configured in this camera, which is the maximum, and I've got several recipes, film simulation recipes I've input. And the problem is, if I've got 2 that are based on the Acros film simulation, in the viewfinder on the screen, it tells me I'm using an Acros simulation. It doesn't tell me this is such or such profile. So I know this is not actually the Acros, it's actually my T-Max, Kodak T-Max simulation, or my Ilford simulation, which is based on this Acros. So it means I've got no way to know exactly what profile I'm using right now. It tells me the simulation, but not the profile. So I would like to have the information like C1, C2, C3, or whatever in the viewfinder on the screen when I do it. That would be a lot better. Same thing, when I review my pictures, this information is not there either, and not even in the EXIF. which is really strange because when I create a profile, I can actually rename it. So I've got a profile which is called Kodak Portra 400, another one called Kodak, can't remember, whatever, Hectare 100. I've got an Ilford one. I've got several. I've got 7 profile here. Okay, so it means that they let you input the name. If you want, you can actually type Kodak Portra. So when I check on my Q menu, it tells me the name of the film simulation I'm using. I wrote it myself, okay? But then this disappears. It's not in the EXIF. It's not when you review the picture. And even what I said before, when you check in the viewfinder on your screen, it should not just say the profile C1, C2, C3 up to C7. If you input a name for that, it also should write it down, like Kodak Portra or whatever, somewhere. If not in the viewfinder because it's too small, at least when you check the screen, okay? So this is not logical. I think this is easily fixed by firmware, this, okay? Following point, number 5, I think. Let's speak about video. Well, when I'm doing video, although this camera is not really thought for video, but the video features are really good, so you can actually use it for video. The problem is I can use film simulation, but I must pick one that is by Fujifilm. I don't have the same as picture, the option to use C1, C2, C3, the profiles I've created. And maybe I would like to do a film simulation in video like Kodak Portra 400. I cannot pick my C2 that correspond to that. I have to pick one of the Fujifilm that is in there already. And if I want to change it, I can actually edit it, but then it stays edited. So my Velvia, for example, is not a Velvia anymore. It's actually a Portra 400, but maybe I want the Velvia sometime. So this is not logical. I would like to have the possibility to have also 7 profile, or to be able to use the profile I've created for photography, to have them in video. I would like to be able to use this simulation, recipes I've input, to use them on my video, not just on pictures, okay? It would be a lot better. Point number 6. Well, I think although this camera is not really for video, you can do a lot of video because the quality is great. I think it would be logical to have a dedicated button for video. If you want to switch on to video, you need to click the drive mode, and then you use the trigger to start your video. And honestly, I think many travelers would use this camera and sometimes record some videos, short videos, or vloggers, okay, even vloggers. And it would be a lot more practical to have a direct access without remapping any of the button here, and a specific record button, maybe here, whatever, or move this one here, I don't know, whatever, okay? But I think the video feature is so good in this camera, it would be logical to have a dedicated button for that. And the last one, maybe there are more negative points, but the last one I think they could better is the grip. I actually put a thumb rest here. I made the review of this thumb rest by Lensmate a few months ago. I'll leave you the link. But I think the grip should be a bit bigger, okay? I know that Fujifilm is working on a really minimalist style for their cameras, but I think a bit thicker grip would be better for... and I've got a small hand, so I can imagine people with a bigger hand is not that practical. So these were, for me, the negative points, which are not dramatic, okay? But I think they... except the grip, you need to add a specific grip, but I think the rest I've spoken is completely upgradable with a new firmware. I think so, okay? So let's look at a future camera, okay? I don't think Fujifilm needs to make a new camera. This one is fantastic, but still they're not going to listen to me, so they will probably make a new one anyway. So I ask what I think, or I say what I think would be better. First, I think they should think of getting an IBIS, in-body stabilization, image stabilization. Why? Because you could drop the speed a lot more. This you can already drop it quite a bit because first it's wide angles, it's not as sensitive to shake, okay? And second, because you have a leaf shutter in the lens, so there's no vibration, so you can drop quite a bit the speed, okay? But maybe some people would like to drop a lot more. So if we look at photography, maybe I don't ask for 6-stop IBIS, but at least 3 stops, so you can drop enough, okay? I'm a bit spoiled because I use Olympus and the stabilization is, in my opinion, the best there is. Okay, really good. But still, I think 3-stop would be fine. But for people who want to make videos, then you need like 6 stops, honestly, because they would not use, they could be able to record without any gimbal, and people who travel and make picture and video at the same time, that would be fantastic to have a 6-stop IBIS in this camera. Something else, this camera is weather sealed and dust proof, the camera body, but not the lens. For this, you need to remove the front ring and then place a special ring and put a filter. I've got one by JJC here, okay, but Fujifilm has its own system, okay, a special ring in there. I don't think this is logical. I think they should have the camera and lens completely sealed from the beginning. So someone who doesn't want to put any different filter or anything on there, it's weather sealed and dust proof from the beginning. Okay, I don't know why they did it this way, but I think it would be a lot better to have it sealed always, okay, without need of any accessories. Then I'm going to tell something that some purists are gonna be really whoa, you crazy, man. Well, look at the screen. Okay, now on this one, some people loved it, some people hate it. You can now orient it this way or this way. So you want to do a waist level picture, you can, and from above your head you can. Okay, but once you've done this first step and you have great video features in this camera, you should think that some people, travel photographers, will also do some vlogging for YouTube or whatever. So I think they need to reverse the screen. So, or you have it a way that you can put it 180 degrees up, same as the XE4, or sideway. Although I think sideway in this case is not as great, okay. But although if you put up, then my thumb rest will be a problem. But doesn't matter. I'm not an engineer. They have to think about it. But still, I think it's time. If you make this first step of orientable screen, make it completely flippable so people can record themselves. I think that would be logical. Following with video, they have a jack, so you can actually plug a microphone in here, but surprisingly this is a 2.5 millimeter jack, which is not standard. You need an adapter. Standard is 3.5 millimeter. Well, I think they could fit a 3.5 millimeter in there. And the next one, I think they should better the grip, although I don't believe they will, because if you look at the XE4, they got completely rid of the grip, so it was now completely flat. So I would not surprise that they want something really minimalist with a Leica M style, and I don't think they will put a grip, okay, but I think that would be logical to do it and get something to hold it better. Well, that's it. So honestly, I love this camera. I use it a lot. I really enjoy using it. So I hope you like the video. Thank you for watching it. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The small button down here and there's a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. Also leave you links of my gear on Amazon, links to everything I've reviewed by K&F Concept and Sandmark, and also a link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Thank you very much. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.